Hi everyone, welcome back to Watercolor channel Pasigodesign, and today we're going to be talking about how to use this paper, which is curled from the fact that it was purchased as a large roll. Also, we're going to do a shape, another shape, a leaf shape again, as in the previous video, and we'll do it wet on wet, but this time we'll carry it through to another stage, which basically means that I will do two applications. Last time we did the first application of water and paint, letting them blend together, giving them a chance to mix and create other colors other than just their colors out of the tube. And this time we'll do the same, but we'll take it another step. So let's get started. Here's my paper. You'll see how curly that is. It's pretty, it's got a really good rounded shape here at the bottom, and it curls quite a bit on the side. So I cannot work with this at all right now. So the first thing that you'd want to do is turn it around and take a large brush, and I've got something here that I could use. Any large brush that you have, probably your largest brush. I might even want to go to a bigger mop like this for this one. And I'll just soak it, get lots of water on there, and I will put some water on it right across from top to bottom. It really, really has to get moistened in order for the color, in order for the paper to relax. And it won't happen instantaneously, but it will happen as we let the paper start to dry. The paper really needs that moisture in order to become more usable anyways. So here it is. I've got this big, you can see that, I think. Yeah, you can see the shiny part of it here. Here's where I dropped, where the water dripped off the paper to the sides, and I moved it away from there because I don't want the water to go onto the front of the paper. Now I'll just wipe this off. Okay, still dripping lots of water on there. That's not very dry actually, so let's get another paper towel. Make sure it's really good and dry on your whatever board you are using for taping down your paper. Just make sure that it's good and dry. All right, that way when I turn it around, it will not get all wet on the edges. So here I already pre-drew a shape, but you don't have to. You can draw your shape at any time, even after we've applied the water and it's flattened itself out. Then you could take your pencil and start drawing. But for me right now, I have the design, which is just a leaf shape again, and I have the wetness on the back. Now the leaf shape that I picked, I went outside and I picked a real leaf from the ground. We have lots of leaves on the ground right now because we have a couple of maple trees that are very full, very fat. So here we go. I'll let this sit. You'll see after about 10 minutes, 5 to 10 minutes, I'll come back on and I'll show you the result. All right, so I'm back, and my paper that I saturated with water at the back, my curly paper, is not quite so curly anymore. And that was maybe a little bit less than 5 minutes even. So it looks pretty straight to me, and I believe it's ready for me to use. Now, the thing is that you'll have to keep in mind is that it is wet at the back. So it's already providing you with a layer of a wetness that will affect the front as well. So let's tape this down. We definitely want to tape this down. I would say there's no harm in waiting 5 minutes. I may have waited a little bit less than that, but 5 minutes is not a bad thing because you really want the paper to have time to stretch as much as it can. And then you won't have as many problems with curly stuff happening as well, even after you start painting. So here we go. This is still damp. This is dry because I did this yesterday and this I did this morning. So I'm going to do one more. They were both done wet on wet. I'll do one more wet on wet for you, another little leaf shape over here. And that'll be our little painting for now. So I have all kinds of leaf shapes that I often find, curly stuff to the little ones that have little leaf shapes that are a little curly on their own here at the top and stuff like that. They're also fun to do. So, but we'll do those later, maybe in another exercise where we spend a little bit more time drawing. So for this, finishing this painting, maybe I just want to paint something down here. I want to see maybe if I could overlap it a little bit, right? So let's just do, I like to see something coming down here. Maybe like this, and then I could continue this. So just use your leaf shape to draw an overlap. It's always a little bit easier to draw a shape that doesn't have when there's nothing else on the paper. But once you have something on the paper, you have to imagine what it would look like if it went underneath the other shape. So this is what I'm going to do here. It's just going to be, again, exactly the same process, but basically keeping in mind that there's already something on my paper. So let's do this quickly. I'm putting wetness now on my leaf shape. I'll start on this left side over here. I'm applying water all over it. And I'll take a brush. Let's do my calligraphy brush. And I will use some of the colors that I'd already mixed for the other shapes here, which was this beautiful yellow, Hansa yellow medium mixed with a little bit of Perot Scarlet. Gives me some really crazy orange. And I can mix on the palette, which gives me some very intense color like this. And I can just mix on the paper by applying. Again, this is all wet on wet because, and the reason why it's wet, I call it wet on wet, and this is the technique, it is simply because the water is still moving on the paper. So anywhere I apply paint, it moves, you see. So you can see the effect of the moving water. Now on this side, I did not wet the paper first, and so let us take a look at the difference. All right, the water stops right here. It doesn't go any further, whereas over here it was moving right up to the point where I'd put water. So if I don't want to do that, I have to wet the edge here and bring a little bit of water into it so that the water will not form that straight edge over here. And there's nothing wrong with having a few straight edges because, as you can see, I can be making a little hole here. That could be one of the holes that I see in the shape. I can make another hole here just by making a little circle. This is dry, and I'm painting on dry now, so I'm combining wet on wet with wet on dry and making some leaf shape holes and continuing the same effect that I have up here, but adding a few little bonus things here. So let's make a little bit of extra color over here, and I'm going to show you, this is still wet. I can still put stuff in here because it's moving, but I don't want to rub it. I just want to touch it. Okay, while it is still wet, we can take our skewer and we can make those nice little lines. And this is kind of part of the textural part of the leaf. And if you push, not too hard, just gently, you will see that the lines are formed by the fact that it makes little grooves in your painting, in your paper, I should say, and therefore affects your painting. Okay, so here we go. This one is probably going in the wrong direction, but that doesn't matter right now. We're just doing this to test, sample, and experiment, right? I'm going to let this dry, and once that's dry, I can then start adding even more color in between here. This one was totally dry, and I can show you that if I take a little bit of extra color, for example, let's say right here, and I add, this is on dry, all on dry, I can start adding some extra shapes that are going to form the veins. And this is called glazing. And that's not what we're about to talk about today, but I will have a session on glazing. So here we go. We've done our wet on wet, we've stretched our paper, we've grooved the veins, and now we're starting to decorate and do some of those final details. So happy sailing with this one. Give it a try. Talk to you the next time.